Hello adventurers, I am here today at the site of Antietam Battlefield in Maryland. This was the single bloodiest one-day battle in US history. 23,000 people died here in a single day. So, doing some of the tour stops. Right now I am at Dunker Church. There's the church. So that was actually the site of, sorry about the gum, trying not to chomp on your faces. That was a church that was founded by German pacifists, and it was actually a site of a lot of attacks by Union troops. So this is the battlefield behind me, and as we go through, we'll see some different sites. But so this cornfield that I'm currently at, on the day of the battle, September 17th, 1862, this cornfield here on this side of the road, as well as the side of the road that I'm on, was the site of one of the bloodier parts of the battle. For over 3 hours, troops clashed, and the Louisiana infantry actually lost 60% of their men within a half an hour in this cornfield. So it's a 24-acre cornfield. It's quite a large area. So it's kind of easy to see how that big of a number of fatality happened, because it's not just the tiny little spot I'm standing in, it's the entire cornfield. So pretty sombering to be at a place like this. Throughout the video, you'll probably see a lot of these different monuments. They're each to different troops, so there are different infantry numbers and different regiment numbers that have memorials and markers, and then these historic plaques actually list, I'll show you some of them. So the 2nd Massachusetts Infantry, the 3rd Wisconsin Infantry, etc. So it just talks about where each different infantry was stationed around Antietam and some of their different activities. So you'll see some of those markers. And the monuments are memorials to those lost, because there were just so many lost that day. Okay, so we are now at the site of the West Woods. To give you an idea of where we're at, we are near Dunker Church again. Up the road quite a ways is the cornfield, so we're kind of right in the middle of everything here. But on the morning of the 17th, Union soldiers advanced into the West Woods here and were met with such strong defense by the Confederacy that within 20 minutes, 2,200 Union soldiers were actually killed right in here. That was in General Edwin Sumner's infantry. Okay, so we are at the site of the Mama Farm and Mama Cemetery. To give you an idea of where we're at, Dunker Church, cornfield is way up north that way. Not way up north, but north. Visitor center there in the background. So the Mama farmhouse was the site of the only intentional property destruction during the battle. This farmhouse belonged to Samuel Mama and his family, who by the day of the battle had actually already fled, so they were already safe. But Confederate troops were ordered to burn the farmhouse so that Union sharpshooters could not use it as a holdout. So this was the only intentional property destruction. So we're here at the site of what they call Bloody Lane, Sunken Road, but I just wanted to show some kind of a little neat thing here. So I talked about those Union and Confederate front lines. These fences that are constructed like this actually mark those lines. So when you see those fences, that's what those mean. So I'm here on Sunken Road, also known as Bloody Lane. So you can see how close the two front lines were. For over 3 hours, they fought each other at this close of point blank range. I mean, it's maybe 12 feet apart. Over 5,500 soldiers were dead at the end of those 3 hours. One observer saw the bodies lying in the road and likened them to railroad ties and stacked cordwood. There were just so many bodies upon bodies after this battle was over. Okay, so we are now at the top of the War Department Observation Tower. This was built in 1896 in an effort to have an open air classroom here at the site of Antietam. So there's a kind of 360 view. You can see a lot of the battlefield. I'll take some more shots here in a second. To give you an idea of where things are, they actually have these guides here. So Dunker Church is 1,280 yards that way. And the cornfield from earlier is 1 mile in that direction. So just kind of give you an idea of where we're at. So one of the things that I've noticed here, especially looking down on Bloody Lane there, and after visiting Bloody Lane, is I'm starting to settle into the same feeling I had at Auschwitz. It's not as grand of a scale as the number of people that died at Auschwitz, but there's just something so sobering about being at a place like this where so many people died, and that has such historical impact on our world. I don't know how to describe it. It's just melancholic, I think, is probably the closest. So it's kind of exuberance and excitement in the beginning because I'm such a history nerd, and now I'm kind of settling into that melancholy. And there was reverence throughout, but there's definitely more reverence now after having walked Bloody Lane. And in case you're wondering, because I counted, because I'm neurotic like that, there are exactly 70 steps up to the top of the observation tower. This is just kind of interesting that we are driving literally the line between the two. North on the left, south on the right. We are on well, I guess if those were the Westwoods, we're probably on the eastern side. So this just really struck me pretty hard. That evening, over 23,000 were wounded and dead covered the field around Sharpsburg, and both armies maintained positions almost the same as they did when the day began. All that loss of life for almost nothing. Also, 2 more generals were killed here. I don't care about the Confederacy. We're only going to talk about this great nation of America, so yay, Union. General Rodman died 3 days after the battle, but he was shot in the chest right there. So I just wanted to make a couple of notes here. I did not record at every single stop along the tour, mainly because I don't want to spoil this for anybody who wants to come here and take the tour themselves. I want to leave you the opportunity to see some new sites and learn some new information. So I just did a very, very brief history of the things that happened on September 17th, 1862. You could fill volumes upon volumes with things that happened that day. So there is a lot of information. There are a lot of educational placards, a lot of memorial signage around the battlefield. It is very extensive. You can go by car, you can go bike, you can walk around the battlefield. So there are a lot of ways to get around Antietam, and I didn't show you everything. So I just want to make sure that you all know that so that you can come here and take the tour yourself and learn some history yourself.